outside of the masjid into the masjid itself, because that's actually the tradition of the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, whether it be art, culture, history, cars, whatever it is, archery, the things that people are actually involved in their daily lives, finance, tech, etc. We want to bring in those discussions, those conversations, those avenues of belonging to the Muslim community as part of the masjid itself. And that's the vision behind Qahwa. And that's what everything that we're trying to do. And tonight we're very, very blessed to have a very wonderful group of people here. Ridwan is going to introduce everyone else. I just wanted to welcome you all. Qahwa is going to close at 9. So if you have a drink order, make sure to stop by the cafe, which is behind the gym. And we also have a special vendor, Qamariya, which some of you already have. Qamariya is a vendor that's selling Yemeni coffee and chai and drinks. They're going to be right there in that corner in the old entrance of Adams in the foyer. They have a little booth there. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns about the event, things that you want to see, things that you wish that Qahwa was doing, please feel free to come see me or any of the volunteers. As you can tell, this was a lot of effort to try and get together. And I want to especially thank Aatif, who put this all together, and Ridwan and everyone else, and El Cid for being here, and Shayan and Shihan and Sister Bayan, and they all rhyme. So Ridwan did that on purpose, probably. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Ridwan, who escaped from Virginia and went back to New York for some ungodly reason. Allahu A'lam, I don't know why. But now he's back, and we're going to probably keep him here. But Ridwan, most of you probably don't know. Probably you'd know, in case you don't know, he's a photographer, filmmaker, creative director. He's worked at Islamic Relief and many other organizations. He was the one who made the original American flag hijab thing that has become infamous and famous now at the same time. The picture, which has then became one of the icons of the Women's March. So he is, mashallah, I remember when I was coming up, he was like one of the seminal Muslim artists that we all looked up to as like a figure who had made it professionally as a creative. And tonight, that's what we're going to be talking about. So without any further ado, Ridwan.
Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me? Can everybody? I probably don't even need a microphone, but it's good. You can hear me. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome, everybody. I was in the Adams community for 10 years. So this is the first time I've been back since after pandemic and COVID. So this is like a homecoming and really heartwarming for me just to be here. So when Aatif reached out and said, I'd love to do this event, El Cid is going to be here, who's a dear friend to me. I said, yeah, I'll drive down. I'll definitely come back for you guys. So anytime I could do anything for my community and my people, that's why we're here. So I'm going to introduce. We'll go down the line. I'll ask a question for each person, and then we'll take it from there. So El Cid, if you do not know El Cid, just go to his Instagram page right now while you're sitting here for a moment. We'll definitely share some stuff. Here, he's an amazing artist. There's no other way to put it. But there's one thing that he's better at than being an artist is a human being. His humanity and who he is and what he represents shows up in every one of his pieces and in every one of everything he touches. Just today we were having lunch and he was drawing on a plate. And the man next to us, just a normal person sitting, he said, "What is that?" And then he translated it for him. And the guy was like, "Oh my God." And then we went into an antique store. And just the energy of the humanity that he brings out the kindness in other people. And so that's apparent in his work all over the world. He's been born in France, Tunisian French, been all over the world. And we wanted to share with you, just to set it off, a trailer for the documentary that he recently completed and put out for a movie called Perception, a project called Perception. So we'd like to share that with you before we get into it.
كثير من دلوقتي كان المنطقة دي اسمها مش بس منطقة زبالين، اسمها المنطقة الزرايب. Comment
Comment tu vas convaincre chaque personne de te laisser peindre sa maison?
المنطقة في واجدة كان أوحش كتير من دلوقتي. كان المنطقة دي اسمها مش بس منطقة زبالين، اسمها المنطقة الزرايب.
Comment tu vas convaincre chaque personne de te laisser peindre sa maison? Parce qu'imagine, si t'as une seule personne qui dit non, tu peux pas finir l'œuvre.
احنا بسطاء بس تحت ما احنا ربنا شقيانين وبنشيل الزبالة وده بينا ناس كويسين ومحدش احسن مننا.
Well, mashallah. Just for context, that is 52 building fronts that can only be viewed from one angle that brings the piece together from the mountain as you look down on that. That's why it's called perception. And you've said to me, this is your largest physical project, but even more importantly, this is the largest emotional and most important thing that you've worked on for you. Have you always known that this is what you want to do?
Yes.
Has this been always part of your life? Tell us a little bit about how you got to this, how you got to the top of that mountain overlooking.
No, I knew it since I was 5, I think. No, I'm joking. No, actually it's a journey, you know, like it's an evolution, and I think you don't become an artist, you are an artist, like deep inside, and then life takes you to a different road, and me I grew up in France from Tunisian parents, and I was always painting and drawing, but there was nothing or nobody around me that pushed me toward this path, you know. So I studied business. I went to business school in France, but art was always part of me. So I was always painting and drawing, but I felt at some point that I used to be a business consultant, and I was kind of dying in my job, you know, and I felt there was something that was calling me somewhere else. And just, you know, like I was doing art just for the sake of doing art. There was something, a kind of therapy on the side, you know, but never knew or thought that I would, you know, do what I'm doing today and just coming to DC and speak to a crowd of people. So this is amazing, you know, so I'm embracing that every day. And you know, so as I said, I was a business consultant, and I quit my job the day before the birth of my daughter. You know, so that was actually, you know, most of the people will tell you you're crazy, you know, like you're having a baby, you have a good job, paying well, and you're just wasting everything or taking a big risk. And for me, it was this responsibility, saying, look, I have a baby coming in the world, I want to take care of her, like I want to be like, I don't want to do a 9-to-5 job, but I knew I would be also busy with art, and for me it was this big leap of faith, and alhamdulillah, I took this leap of faith. Knowing that, you know, even if it doesn't work, I would come back. And then it was just, it's like just a journey, stuff like happening and growing and doing projects and meeting people. And then also my artistic approach from when I started and today is totally different. You know, what I look today is, you know, the human experience. This is what animates me, you know, going to places where people doesn't go usually. And meeting people and using art, as you saw today, you know, like a piece of art can connect people so fast, and that's what I do today, you know, trying to highlight people such as you saw on the trailer, you know, like this Coptic community of Cairo who collect the garbage and have developed the most powerful recycling system in the world. So for me, it's that, you know, using art as a tool to connect people, and yeah, this is basically what I do.
How is using the Arabic script, you know, important for you, as using that as your tool? That's your tool to connect people, is essentially words, but words that people can't read in some other places.
You know, like, even Arabic-speaking people cannot read it. They can decipher it. If I tell them, you know, what it's written, they will find the letter. But for me, you know, Arabic script has this power that, you know, it touches your soul before it reaches your eyes. So even if you don't know how to read it, even if you don't know what does it mean, there is you can look at it as an abstract piece. And, you know, alhamdulillah, you know, with my team, we travel so many places, and you see always the impact of how, you know, Arabic script has on people. You know, we installed a piece between North and South Korea on the DMZ, in Brazil, where recently, like a year ago, in Nepal. And it's not about Arabic script. You know, people, you know, as you said, I use messages. I always make sure that what I'm writing is relevant to the place where I'm creating the artwork. So it's always a translation from for example, in Nepal, it was a Nepali poem translated into Arabic. In Korea, it was the same. So it's always making sure that people feel connected and attached to the piece.
What did Perception say? What did that piece say?
It's a quote from a Coptic bishop from the 4th century called Saint Athanasius from Alexandria, and he said, anyone who wants to see the sunlight clearly need to wipe his eyes first. And I feel, you know, sometimes that it's I don't know, it's not coincidence, but I feel like there is somebody who wrote something about every single project that I do. It's crazy. I found that amazing. And like, there's a guy in the 4th century who wrote this, and me, like 16th century later, like, I need this to do my project. And it's beautiful, you know. And sometimes, I mean, it takes time to find also those quotes. But like I said, it's not about the Arabic script, I think, today. It's really, there's a beauty in it, you know, that you can appreciate without translation. You know, like this one is in Paris on the Pont des Arts. And for example, I want to tell this story. I was painting in Brazil, and on a building, and the house used to belong to a woman called Fernanda, and she came to me. She's like, "Can you come to my house? You know, I want to show you something," in Portuguese. I mean, I had the translator, so I come inside her house, and she tell me, like, I used to work for a film set company, you know, and she always used to keep an object from the movie that they used to shoot. And she had a frame on her wall with Ayat al-Kursi, you know, and she's like, she told me, like, what you have on the wall, like those dots, they look exactly the same as what I have here. And I'm like, oh yes. She said, can you read it? I explained her what it was. I was like, you know, this is a, you know, a verse from Quran that Muslim people recite to be protected. And she's like, oh, I've been protected for 20 years. You know, so she was, yeah, you know. Yeah.
That's beautiful. You know, how have you seen your work evolve? Because obviously we've seen some of these things here, and you've evolved into 3D sculptures like this one, and forms beyond like the flat text on a page. Why? What came to your mind to evolve it beyond just script on a page?
I think it's an organic evolution. I don't think, you know, I was like, why I want to do it. I think it just evolved. You know, as an artist, what is the most difficult thing is to get out of your comfort zone. You know what I mean? And I look at it as, you know, a circle. For example, when you're in the middle of your comfort zone, you're in the middle of the circle. And the more you stay inside it, the more this, like, circle grow, and then it's more difficult to come out of it, you know. And for me, you know, doing sculpture, like, trying to always challenge myself is, I mean, it's part of the journey. You know, otherwise I will be doing the same thing over and over, and at some point I will be tired. So I always try to look for the next challenge, you know. Even if sometimes it's difficult, because you want to stay in this comfort zone, you know, and it's easy. So I'm looking for the difficulty sometimes.
What does the future look like?
Inshallah, bright, you know, like, yeah. You know? Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, like, you know, I try to keep this flame animated, like, always here. So it's important, you know, that I have to feed it. You know, it's that's the most difficult thing, you know, because I think sometimes life, sometimes people, a lot of stuff comes and try to, you know, drain your energy. And I think art today is what I would say like what keep me passionate, you know, as long as this passion is here, like the flame is here, the fire is here, alhamdulillah, I'm happy.
It's amazing. Yeah. Thank you so much. I know the title of this event was Art and Entrepreneurship, and we often think about it as those are two opposed things, and they're not the same, and they can't exist in the same space. But Shayan Pahlevani here has been amazing social entrepreneur for the last 20 years, really building businesses, but with intention. So I'd love to hear, and I'm sure the audience would love to hear, what your thought process is on bringing that intentionality. You said your art is business, right? The art is business. So what makes you, what drives you to do social good with business?
Thank you for having me. It's a big honor to be here with LC. Give him another round of applause, guys. Great question. And I also want to thank Aatif for putting this all together. We're going to get to you, Aatif, in a second. I'm a social entrepreneur. I was born and raised here in Herndon, Virginia. Adams Center was my mosque. In high school was when this place was created. It was brand new. We played basketball back there. We did Friday prayer here. And I'm a product of this community, so I'm very, very grateful to everybody here. I've had 2 successful tech startups. One's LiveSafe, crime reporting app, and one's Hungry. Both I had the positive intention of how do I do good? I want to have a business. I want to be financially free, but I also want to do good. And I got inspired to have a crime reporting app. It helped make the world a safer place. I raised money from 4 billionaire investors, founder of AOL, the founder of FedEx. And just a couple of years ago, I got to sell the company for $50 million. And I wanted to use that money. I didn't feel great. I felt great doing the work, but I felt empty at the end of it when I got it. So then put that money to work into another startup, Hungry, which for every meal purchased through our catering platform, we donate one. Our company is now worth $300 million, and our investors are Jay-Z and Kevin Hart and about a dozen NFL players. And all thanks to God. Do good deeds, and it comes back to you. We bring incredible economic opportunity to the chefs, and in turn, we've been able to grow super fast. And now I still feel empty. And, how do I give back? How do I give back so I can feel like a success? You don't feel like a success just because you have the money. It's when you're generous, when you're charitable, when you love others, you pay attention to others. So I was very grateful to now want to spend my time giving back. And I was able to join a nonprofit called Together We Serve. The founder being here, Hossein Gol, please raise your hand. And it's a great organization with some of the top leaders in this area. Nahad of CARE, an organization with 200 plus lawyers that looks after the civil liberties of Muslims in this country. We're working with Nahad, Hossein Gol, Dr. Issam Omesh, Abbas. Am I missing anyone else, Hossein? That's everyone. And Imam Johari as well. Who most of you know. So it's a great squad, and our goal is to give back. So we have 10 acres in Alexandria. We're calling it 10 acres for now. And we're so excited to have El Cid come here to want to be involved with our project. We're super honored. We're willing to give him any kind of creative freedom. He's the master. And we're looking forward to allowing him to provide his doses in the community and attract people of all faiths. We want to create community center, outdoor and indoor activities, a leadership center that really pushes our Muslim community to the next level. We should be making a lot of money. We should be giving back. And Americans around us should be very proud of the work that we're doing. So that's some of the work that Together We Serve does. Hopefully I'll get to talk about it more, maybe short little video. But that positive intention is everything. To have a good intention, to help others, to do good, it comes back to you. And it's all thanks to God.
Thank you. Amazing. To my left, Bayan Jondy is the CEO and co-founder of Zina, a clothing company, a modest fashion line. We've known each other since we moved into the area, and really inspired by the growth of that business and looking at that business and the intersection of Islam, fashion, and modesty, and how that, and business. Tell us what inspired you to create that, and why is it so important to have something like that?
So I had two career paths. So I first started out.
This one. We'll just pass that one around.
So I first started out as a social worker, and then I also wanted to do fashion. And so I had two career paths, and I had to give up social work to delve into Zina. And why is it important to me? I mean, I feel like that's evolved over time, but I think the word that our friends and us have come up with is the word alien. And a lot of times we feel alien because we don't really fit into the Muslim community as American Muslims, and then we also don't fit into the other communities, so we're kind of in this weird space, you know? And I think that's where Zina came from, is that feeling of wanting to create this American Muslim space with modest fashion that, you know, my kids are here, their kids are going to be here, their kids are going to be here. We're not from anywhere else. And we have our own sense of style and fashion here, and I wanted to be able to represent that and kind of intertwine it with America and being American, really. So,
thank you. Yeah, that's amazing. We're going to get into. I want to introduce everybody, and then we'll definitely come back around to everybody. Shihan, we've known each other for as long as I've been in Virginia as well. I know you started out in film and photography and doing a lot of that, but for those who don't know, Chili Pepper Cooks, right? Chili Pepper Cooks on TikTok and Instagram, huge. Just taking that film and photography and adding that like spice, literally adding that spice to it, where you're now presenting like not even like ethnic food and different cultures and mixing it all together in a presentation that's like so, like for me, what struck me was so professionally done and so cleanly done. Tell us how you get from photography and film to now like a TikTok chef.
So I actually had a successful business before this, and during the pandemic, it was semi-successful, but during the pandemic, it boomed. And essentially, I actually got out of doing photography and cinematography for that business because we scaled, and when you scale, you have to hire. So I hired other videographers, photographers. So I wasn't doing any of that. I was just in the business side. And I used to come home and I used to say, I want to still practice my creativity skills because I completely got away from it because I was just dealing with the business side. So I used to come home and I love cooking. So I was like, let me just, film myself cooking. And it was just originally just to hone up on my skills, nothing more than that. Made a few posts and just ended up going viral. And then I was just like, well, let me take all the stuff that I knew, because prior to me doing this, I used to scale and create 7-figure brands. I used to scale and create other influencers. So I took all the skills that I knew and I applied it to myself. But the biggest key here is having the discipline to follow through with everything that you know. So from at that time, when I started kind of going viral, that's when I really applied, the small details that go into cinematography and photography, and just kind of literally put it together and just concentrated on a niche, and just kind of took it from there.
Mashallah, that's fantastic. Focusing that energy, because as soon as I saw it, I was like, I recognized you bringing that there, and I was like, I was so overjoyed seeing that, and then just having you out there. How happy you look right now is how happy you are in every one of your videos as you chef it up. So that's fantastic. And another person who is extremely happy, and let's give him a round of applause for Aatif. Aatif is a architect who's been working for the past 20 years in the Muslim community, and nobody even knows it. Nobody even knows that he built Qahwa House, he designed Qahwa House. He's kind of worked on that intersection between Islam and architecture as like the foundation of what you want to do, because I know that because you've told me that. But how has your career evolved? Like, from being involved with Qahwa, from like designing things in architecture school to this point where now, he's helping work with Together We Serve and really pushing that envelope of Islamic architecture in the West.
First and foremost, shout out to Ridwan Adhami. Give Ridwan Adhami a round of applause, everybody. Come on. I don't know why I thought that I would do as good as a job as you, man. You're killing it, mashallah. So thank you. I don't know, ever since I was little, I never accepted the style and the design of any masjid in America that I had gone to. Bridging on what Bayan had said, they seemed foreign. And then I would have a problem when we would complain about American Muslims as, why don't Americans see us as Americans? And then in architecture school, I was like, oh, it's because we're not building American buildings. We complain about being treated as the other, yet our masjids look like they took it off in Kuala Lumpur. Shh. Right? That's not what I'm happy with right now. And I have spent the last 20 years, which is also my master's thesis, which I won't get into it because that's for another time. It's for another, 2 people show up to your book signing type of stuff. So we're not going to go there. But I realize that there has to be something about Islamic architecture that has nothing to do with the dome and the arch and the minara and the mimbar and the calligraphy. But what about Islamic architecture makes it Islamic architecture? It's the relationship between you and your creator. It has nothing to do with whether your masjid has 4 minaras or 3 minaras or a dome, right? And what was the first masjid? Can anybody tell me what the first masjid was? My man in the red shirt. Almost. Medina. Close, man. You still get a point, though, for raising your hand. Shout out to this kid over here. So it's in the limited knowledge that I have, which is why I'll never be a khatib, it's where the she-camel knelt, right? And what was that space? That space had no divisions. That space had no decorations. It was just a dirt space. And so I wanted to come back to the spirituality of design, and I found that the minimal approach to design, where it's really about the ephemeral qualities of what you feel in the space, what you take out of the space, is kind of what I've been trying to strive for the past 20 years. And so, which is why I feel like I was a shoo-in when Ali Al-Talib, shout out to Ali Al-Talib, alhamdulillah. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Approached me to design Qahwa, right? And he was like, it's going to be this great thing. The masjid has given us all this space in the world. And I was like, great. And they gave us a space that was perfect, but it was challenging. And we used the youth as our client, right? So we were on the other side of the table. Youth was on the other side of the table. And that was all Ali, right? Because I was like, no, I got this. I'm going to design it. But that's what you see here. It's really a culmination of me trying to arrive at an architecture that's both American and Muslim. And we need to rid ourselves of these motifs that we feel that are Islamic. And the last thing I'll say is, everybody knows the Islamic Relief logo, right? It's the 4 minaras. It's the Ottoman Masjid. The Ottoman Masjid is based off of the Hagia Sophia. The Hagia Sophia used to be a church. The Hagia Sophia was based off of a pagan Roman basilica. All right? So remember, it's not about motifs. It's about what you feel in your heart. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Everybody kind of touched on it. I'd like to know, and we can go down the line and anybody can answer, is what inspires you to do your passion? I'll ask LC, what inspires you to do your art? When you get a can and you're ready to go, what is that driving force for you?
There is, I think, this myth about the artist, where inspiration comes, you have to sit, and watch the sunset, or, but I think inspiration comes from a lot of stuff, like people that you meet, books that you read, you know, like everyday situation. You know, you see something and then you'll be like, wow. And for me, you know, like I think it's what motivates me. I wouldn't say inspiring because, like I said, inspiration comes from so many places. Is like the research, you know, like always looking for this new experience. I think what I enjoy the most is like the human experience, you know, and going to places that where usually you're not supposed to go, or people tell you to not go there, and then you realize that actually on those places where everybody warn you about, you have a human being like you and I, you know, and we have, I mean, what connects us, you know, it's our humanity, you know, and that's, I think, what I love the most, making, you know, realizing that despite your difference of religion, difference of, you know, political conviction or like social status, what links you to people is humanity. And the fact that arts speak to our emotion, and because we're human because we have emotion, that's what connects us. And for example, you see like this picture behind me, this was in Lesbos in Greece. We were like in Greece for this project, and we met this woman who actually was she's an Afghan refugee. She left at this time. She left Afghanistan like for 6 months before, and she's an artist. She became an artist in the camp, and she started painting and drawing. So we had a coffee in her mobile home, you know, and she was showing us some sketches. And then 2 days later, I came back to her. I was like, Bibi Zahra, you know, why don't we do a collaboration together? And she's like, yes, okay. And so she drew like flowers, and I mean, her work is really naive. Like when you look at it, it's like it looks like it's a young person who's doing it, but it's amazing. And she drew like some of her flower, and then, you know, it was a real collab. But on this one, I was kind of stressed out because I was filling up the color that she was, the drawing that she was making, and then she asked me to write in calligraphy a phrase in Farsi that says Amid Behi Zindagi, which means hope for life. And imagine if it was not because of art, how I would be able to connect with the 75-year-old woman that I'm still in touch with. I mean, she called me like almost every 2 days, you know, it's funny. You know, and we don't say anything, you know, I don't speak Farsi, she don't speak English.
So what do you actually say on the phone?
We just laugh. We just laugh.
And that's it. How does that even work?
Yeah. And she sent me every time like her sketches. I showed to Wahid like today, like she showed me, like she sent me another drawing. I will show it to you. And now she got her passport, you know, so she's in Germany. So we're doing a print together. So I'm going to visit her in Germany next month. So,
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, for me as a photographer, like I always said, I don't want to photograph people from a distance because I want to be right there. So when I put the camera down, all that's left is me and this human being that's in front of me, and we can shake hands, and we can say salam, we can say hello, we can say in whatever your language is to make that connection. Like I'm not hunting deer in a forest.
The smile as well, you know, the smile is such a powerful tool, you know. Sometimes you don't speak any language. We spent a month in Nepal, you know, with this, you know, in a village that was rebuilt by women after the earthquake of 2015. And so we did this project inside this village, and I don't speak Nepali, I don't speak English, you know, and I just learned the name of the color because they were helping me, you know, filling up the color. But it was amazing to see that, you know, you spend a month with people, and then the only language that you have is smiling, you know, and then you even start making jokes, you know, like, I mean, you make a joke about the situation, and you see like people, there's something, you know, there's this kind of common language. And I think this is for me the power of art, and the power of what we are is our humanity. And sometimes we tend to forget about it.
Amazing. I know a lot of times we talk about that motivation, and even for the artists on the stage is, I'll ask this question, and then you'll know where I'm going with it once I ask it. Who motivated you as you were growing up to be artists in our community? Go ahead, yeah.
So when I was coming up and doing cinematography and photography, it was actually two main people, and it was Antar Hanif and Ridwan. So a lot of it wasn't
I didn't
just...
set it up like that. I swear to God, I didn't know you were going to say that. It's so, thanks. Thank you, though. Thank you.
It's pretty loaded question, Ridwan. Pretty loaded question, but nice.
So a lot of it I do want to say, like, you'll see a lot of entrepreneurs, they'll say, like, same thing as he said. He said, you know, inspiration, you know, it's not really there, or like even motivation, it's not really that gets you going. All entrepreneurs and all artists and creatives have a disease, and it's called not being satisfied. And just same thing with him. You know, after you got your first 50 million, you still felt empty. And it's not that feeling of empty. It's just I think it's something innate in our head. It's just like, I think I can do better, and the fact that I think I can do better and I'm not doing it, that's just like, oh no, I actually need to do better. And you know, entrepreneurs, creatives, we're the only people in the world that will not work a 9 to 5, but will work 24/7. You know, and I think it's that disease in our head. It's just like not being satisfied. And there's nothing. I used to think that there's something wrong with it. You know, my wife used to always tell me, like, how do you not just stand still? Like, you're always doing something. You come from work and, you know, you're still working. And a lot of it is just, you know, trying to reach this high, and you're never going to reach that high, but, you know, you're just going to keep climbing and climbing. And once you get to one flight of stairs, you just know that there's another flight of stairs waiting for you, and you're going to try to get there as well. So I think, you know, motivation, inspiration, it's kind of, you know, cloaked off behind that, you know, of just wanting to do better.
If you don't mind, I'll share that. You know, motivation for me was just trying to fit in, right? It's, you know, it's, most of us feel the same way. You're just trying to fit in, have some dignity, have some work, and really, you know, just trying to fit in as an American Muslim. It just wanted me to work so hard and succeed so big so that nobody could say anything, right? So that nobody could question, and that builds a lot of confidence in a person. And that's what we're trying to do with our Together We Serve, you know, nonprofit. We really want to build leadership skills and build confidence in the American Muslim youth, because we have that identity crisis that you mentioned. But if for me, Muhammad Ali was my motivation. He was what an American Muslim was, and he was very confident in his Islam. He wasn't ashamed to be Muslim. He wasn't apologetic. So how do we get to that point? How do we get to that stage in our brains and with confidence? So that was the motivation. You're always struggling. You're always thinking you're behind, so you always want to work harder, try to fit in. For us, it was fit in as an American Muslim. But I'd be interested to hear what El Cid says.
Big challenge. Me, I see it actually more as not fitting in, but belonging. You know what I mean? Where when you want to fit in, you try to adapt yourself, you know, change yourself, or maybe compromise on part of your identity. So me, I see it more as belonging, trying to belong to a place, and that's where actually the place embraces you. You know what I mean? And not being ashamed, as you said, not being apologetic, or just being who you are and what you know, and being proud of what you are. You know what I mean? And that's the way I look at it.
So, kind of along the same lines for you. For me growing up, I am a little older, and so I don't believe I had that person in the community. We were more pushed into, you know, doctor, lawyer, engineer, and that's what everybody did. But we were pushed. And there was, you know, only certain track that you could go on. And what I do think that was positive in our upbringing and within the community is other strong Muslim women that challenged those norms and said no to them and went and did what they thought was right and still preserved their deen. And it was very inspirational. It was very motivational. And so by seeing them do that, that's where I received my motivation of, okay, I went into this because that's what I was supposed to do, but it's not really what I wanted. How do I get there? And going to those people and asking them, you know?
One thing I always say this, like all the time in every talk I've ever given, is the one thing you can't ignore is excellence. Like, you can say, I want you to be this. I don't care what it is for my child. Just be the best. He's one of the best Arabic script artists on the face of the planet. No one can ignore him. He's one of the best social entrepreneurs at starting businesses and getting people to come along for the ride. Your brand is a pillar. It stands there strong. You can't ignore it. You can't ignore the numbers that you bring. You can't ignore the spaces that you enter. When you build them, it's a physical space that you enter. You can't ignore excellence. So to the youth and to the young at heart, just be really good at what you can do, because no one can ignore that. They can't ignore. Once you see El Cid's work, you can't ignore it. You can't be like, I wish you stayed in business. You would have did a whole lot better for yourself, right? And it's nothing against that, but if you pick that lane, stay in that lane and do that the best and represent for us, and so that the youth can see that there is all these outlets. And this is wildly different people and avenues and paths. What is your hope for the future and for our youth? Because you didn't have that, somebody pushing you in those directions.
Can I say something about that?
I'm honored that Shihan, you mentioned me, but I'm not even that much older than you. And I didn't really have anybody, photographers and filmmakers to look up to. It was kind of like weird. I remember being at ISNA and I had my book in a booth and I had these young high schoolers and middle schoolers and they were just looking and I was like, is everything okay? And they were like, we've just never seen this. We've never seen a photographer at ISNA. And I was like, and I was like, do you want one of my books? And she said, I can't afford one. I said, I'll give you one. And what I wrote in it is, I want to see where you're at in 10 years. Come back and hit me up. And I keep tabs on that young sister. She's amazing now. She's like unreal. She's a cinematographer working in Philadelphia now. But that, for me, that felt, I made it. At that point, I made it. I was like, I'm done. I know what my purpose in life is. So if you had a message to those youth, to any youth saying, I don't know if I can be an architect, be a chef, open my own clothing brand, be an artist, what would you say to those youth?
I would say, look in your community. We have so much talent in our community, we don't give them the time of day. And my selfish interest for this whole thing that we put together, shout out to Adams and shout out to Qahwa, was I wanted kids in the audience to see some normal Muslim people doing amazing things. Amazing things. That look like us, that talk like us, that we can be proud of, and it's only going to be more and more and more and more. So that's kind of like my key takeaway.
I'll just say that first we have to thank our parents. There's a reason why they want us to be doctors or lawyers. They went through so much struggle to get here, right? That's all they could see for us, like a path that would lead to success with, financial freedom, being a doctor or a lawyer. But we also have to thank, so my advice is we have to overcome that fear so that we can be great, as we're talking about. So first you have to be grateful. Grateful to your parents, grateful to Adam Center, Darul Hijra, Mass Mosque, all the mosques that got set up, right? The foundation was laid, the infrastructure was set up. But now the youth, it's on us to take it to the next level, right? To get inspired. And again, plug for Together We Serve again. Our goal is to do stuff like this every week. Bring you intense, high intensity people, give you the knowledge, the confidence, the steps to do what you love. Give you a circle of support. And that's our goal with Together We Serve. And at the end of this, I'm going to be here. I'll hand out my phone. I would love your contact info for whoever wants to volunteer. We're at the baby stages of this nonprofit. And we're so grateful to have El Cid be involved from the way beginning. How amazing is it going to be if he's involved with it, right? He's like, I don't want to be involved anymore.
No, amazing.
Yeah. So I do want to mention, because, on the line of parents, that when you are venturing into these, whether it's entrepreneurship or just being a creative, the closest ones to you will not understand you and will not understand what you're doing, and it's okay. To give you an example, back 5 years ago when I quit my 9-to-5 job, I was making 6 figures in my 9-to-5, and I quit that job to pursue the media business that I was doing, and my dad couldn't understand it. He was just like, why would you quit a 9-to-5 government job where you had health benefits and everything, and now you want to do your own business? He just couldn't understand it. My mom would say to me, you know, we worked 12 hours plus per day just so you don't have to. Why are you wanting to work 12 plus hours now, you know? And they just didn't understand. But they saw the money come through, but they just didn't understand why I would want to take that route. And then when I started doing, you know, actual content creation, my dad thinks I'm just playing around now, you know? He still doesn't understand. You know, I've been on a few TV stations and, you know, things like that. And big brands have reached out to me. I've worked with Mountain Dew. I've worked with Whole Foods, all these. And my dad's like, they're paying you to do this? You know? So just know that the closest people to you, they might not understand, they might not get it, and they're going to have that pushback. And you just have to go into it knowing that and just know it's okay.
I just want to say real quick that I had the same issue. My dad calls me up and he's like, how's your startup doing? Are you still surviving? Is it still working? There's no credit. I get no love. But I know that's what pushes me, right? I got to do more to try to impress him because I failed him at being a doctor. So I hear
Nothing
you.
against doctors. If there's any doctors in the house, please.
This is not in any way, shape, or form.
We need everybody. We need everybody.
This is not in any way, shape, or form to say anything bad about the sciences. Okay?
Yeah.
You know, I was just sharing with Alcide. It was my first time meeting him, and I was just telling him that, you know, Nafisa was telling him his work's amazing, and it's amazing, but it's also at the same time for me, like, as someone who doesn't identify with her Middle Eastern background as strongly, it's made me proud of it. And I think through the arts, we think, you know, through other things, by proving ourselves, you know, in different fields, I think you don't realize that, or maybe you do sometimes, you don't realize how you're making other Muslims proud of where they come from. Because we're always told we're other, or we're this, or we're that, and the belonging factor, sometimes you leave parts of you that you didn't want to leave behind, but you left it behind so that you could feel more belonging to your community and to where you are. And so I feel like also with my company, it's, again, I hope, you know, this was the hope and the motivation, is to let Muslim women feel proud of what they look like and how they feel without thinking about it so much, and to move past it, to get to, what do I want to do with my life? How am I going to change the world? I don't want you to think about your scarf every 2 minutes. Like, move past it, and that's the goal and the motivation.
I mean, I'm inspired by this group that I'm surrounded by, and it's inspiring, and I love the fact that, I mean, obviously I love you, but this is all, like, everybody, like, to this side is literally in like a 20-mile radius of here, which is crazy. Like that, like, this is your community.
You
like,
have giants. You have giants
like
amongst
that,
you,
this is all
and
in
you
your
have
community,
no idea.
which is really important, and may Allah continue to bless this community.
Let me ask the crowd something. Raise your hand if you know Chili Pepper Cooks. Okay, raise your hand if you knew he lived here. Exactly.
Oh, that's it. That's nice.
Exactly, right? They're right here, y'all.
Yeah.
But we're underutilized. And when I mean me, I just mean creatives. I don't mean like ultra successful creatives.
Yeah.
But we, shout out to Wasif Mahmood over there. Wasif, raise your hand. Yeah, Virginia Tech, baby.
I'd like to ask a question to Alcide. You know, we've known each other for
13 years.
Now we're old, bro. Yeah. We're old. The fact that numbers like that even are like in the conversation is crazy.
June 10th, 2010. Yeah.
Love this guy. I love this guy. you know, the way we met was at taking it to the streets in Chicago, which was for Iman Central in Chicago. For those that you don't know, Iman is Inner City Muslim Action Network in Chicago, amazing organization based in Chicago. They had a concert that they would do every other summer, and they brought artists together. And that particular, June 10th, 2010, they brought together a collective that I don't think has ever been collected before or since. And I was blessed enough to be there. Antar was there, you know, Mustafa Davis, Amir Suleiman, the Yasina Salman, the narcissist, Omar Effendim, Khalil Ismail.
Pokemon Crew from France.
Aerosol Arabic from the UK, Mo Amer, Azhar Osman. Like everybody that is now, you know, winning Grammys and they have their own shows was in one space. And so for me, it was, I originally used to call what you were talking about the third voice, because it's like neither this one nor that one. And it was for me, my life's work, that search for the answer, the definition. And I realized it's not even about the definition of what that voice is, it's the journey. How has your journey shaped your voice in the people that you've met and in the artists that you've met in different collectives that have shaped your identity and who you are?
You know, I always say that, you know, as an artist, I want to leave a trace, you know, behind, you know, so at some point, you know, every place I was going, I wanted to leave a trace, and I realized, you know, with time that actually is the people that you meet that leave this trace in you, you know, like you, and I learned this, you know, like I'm going to sometimes some really marginalized places, you come with this arrogance of saying, you know, I'm going to change the life of people by doing an art piece, and then you realize actually they don't need you. You know, they don't need you. You go and yeah, you carry the story after. That's how I look at it. And people, I mean, the people shape me, are a part of my identity in a certain way, because like I said, they leave something, they leave a trace in my life, you know, and that's how I look at it today. You know, it's and I carry with me now the story of all the people that I met, and by carrying the story, actually, it's my story as well, so that makes me what I am today, you know, and I think meeting all those people from different places, from different, you know, like different profiles, social status, religion, anywhere, like, and origins, it makes you look at life in a different way, you know, and there is this, like saying in Arabic that say, safar mizanul akhlaq, you know, like the travel is the balance of your character. And I think I realized that with my work, you know, the fact of going to so many places and meeting so many different people, it has an impact on you. It gives you like, you know, you just remove I don't know, you say that, you know, les œillères, when you are a horse and you cannot see on the left or right. So you have this panoramic view of the world, and you accept more. I mean, you have more, I don't say acceptance. I hate the word tolerance. Acceptance, I'm not a fan of it. I say you embrace people in a different way.
Do you feel a sense of responsibility to share that now that you've seen so much and you've met so many people and you've interacted? Do you feel a sense of responsibility to share that with the world? Like, what sense of that weight of responsibility do you feel?
I mean, totally. I mean, what Bayan said earlier, I think I wanted to jump on this. I think as an artist, you have a social responsibility. You know, where you hear maybe some people, you know, because I had some clash with some artists where they're telling me, like, I'm not responsible of anything. But the fact that I work in the public space, you know, I made my work visible to people. You know what I mean? So I cannot speak about anything, or, you know what I mean? I need to be sharp in what I talk about, and I think that's my responsibility, maybe bringing people together, you know, our culture together, and sometimes opening a discussion, a conversation about stuff, you know. And for example, perception, when we did this project in Egypt, I wanted to tackle the subject of perception, saying how, as human beings, we've been judged at some point, or how we judge people without knowing them. And I saw the power of how, like, an art project can change the perception of people. It changed the perception of these people from Garbage City and how they look at themselves. And it changed also the perception of people from outside, how they look at those garbage collectors, you know. And I saw it, actually, for me, the thing I'm the most proud of is just one article in one of the biggest newspapers in Cairo after the project, where they changed the name of how they call them. Usually they call them the Zabbalin, which means the people of the garbage, and they changed the name to Zaraib, which is their real name, the people of the stables. Wow. You know, so I think this is those little things, those little change that, you know, that you feel like you have a
beautiful.
small
That's
impact
beautiful.
sometimes.
I'll ask this to the rest of the group. How had that sense of responsibility, and have you seen that happen where you've noticed something in your career or in your life where it made you, it almost triggered a light to say, you know what, that's why I do this, or that's a moment that made me realize why it's important that we're in these lanes?
I mean, I have, a few people approach me and say, I've seen you go from 0 to and grow to 1.6 million. I've seen you, go from like a regular person in the community to, now you're traveling everywhere, and it really motivates me to wanting to be, consistent and follow something that I really want to do. And, when I hear feedback from that, whether it's one person or 20 people, the fact that you're able to put a stamp on someone's life which you never intended to do, I think, that kind of fulfills some sort of a purpose.
Well, and just to piggyback on what you're saying also, it's about creating a space for people to also follow what they want to do. And even if it's the same thing you're doing, there's space for all of us. And I think people forget that. They think the world is so small and that, no one's coming for anybody. Like, we're all different. Our journeys are going to be different. If you heard all our stories, we all came into it very differently and started and became successful in a very different way. And so your story and your journey is going to look different than ours. And just know that there's space for you in doing whatever you want to do. And just find the right people around you to help you along the way.
Fantastic.
I want to give credit to everybody who's here today. I mean, that's how you get to the next level. You get inspired. So you guys are here to get inspired by El Cid and our esteemed panel. But that's our goal. If I had 15 minutes to tell you about my startups and the steps, half of you would leave with ideas. And you'd be emailing me, I have this startup idea. How do you do this? So that's all it takes. It takes something like this.
Can we talk funding too?
That's Spark.
Funding too.
If you're
going to talk in startups.
Funding's easy too. You tell people it's in steps. You don't have to go raise billions of dollars, millions of dollars right away. You start with your own savings. Then you go to friends and family. Then you go to your parents' network, the doctors, lawyers that they know. And all of a sudden you've raised couple $100,000 and your business is rolling. You don't need to go pitch a venture capitalist. That's not how it works. So this is what needs to happen. You guys need to hear these steps. You need to see how easy it is. And we need to get a leg up. We need to be proud of our American Muslim community and what we're all doing. But we got to go a little bit faster. And again, I'm just super excited to be able to inspire as many people as possible. Who's inspired by LC today?
And you'll never know who will pick up the phone and answer, or you'll never know who will respond to you when you slide into their DMs, kind of like I did with El Cid.
I respond to everybody.
Respectfully.
That's what you tell everybody, man. That's what you tell everybody.
No, I do.
That's what you tell. Yeah, I'm sure. No, but El Cid and I were published in the same magazine called Islamic Arts. It's an obscure magazine out of Bosnia. I didn't think anybody read it, but for me, it was my big break. I had never been written before, and I was a young architect, and I thought being published was the bestest, the most amazing thing in the world. He picked up the phone, and I want to thank you, El Cid, for picking up the phone. It's a testament to just what a chill and super humble guy you are. So
it's normal. Thank you.
Mashallah. Yeah, thank you for picking up the phone.
I'm looking at the time. I want to be respectful of everybody's time. I want to be respectful of Adam's time in the space. We're going to have a question and answer session where we'll take some questions from the audience. You can direct it to anybody or the entire panel. But before that, Aatif, before that, I know Shayan's been talking about the project 10 Acres for a little bit, so we have a short video just kind of share what that project is and the vision for that project.
Thank you so much for allowing us to play the 3-minute video. Maybe before LC, can you tell us why you're interested in this project, why you're here?
Yeah, why did you pick up my call?
I think I was intrigued. You know what I mean? I was intrigued by the the size and the intention behind the project. You know what I mean? That's what intrigued me the most. And then the approach of really what you want to build. And so I think for me it's a challenge. You know what I mean? I never did it before, and I love the fact that, you know, there's this kind of carte blanche thing, you know, this artistic freedom, and also the fact that, you know, I'm coming with my team at the first stage of the project. I think that's what's the most motivating.
What's fascinating is obviously this is in its infancy and it's still starting up, but I think this is interesting intersection of all of the things that we've kind of talked about here. You know, architecture, structure, space, meaning business, bringing business and entrepreneurship and knowledge, and then beauty, bringing beauty and making people proud of the thing that we're building. So we'd love to share a little bit about this project.
A few leading business, community, and faith leaders came together to develop a creative space bringing together our diverse and growing community, to establish an endowment to benefit the present and future generations of American Muslims.
My name is Hussein Gol. I had a trip with my kids to go to Spain, and one of the Christian tour ladies, she said the genius of the Muslim in Spain in the 7th century was they combined divine, science, and the nature. And they created these beautiful buildings and everything else that none of them were compromised. I said, wow, I never heard that from anybody. You know, when we saw this, then I said, this is something that I can translate that what our forefather did in 7th century. Maybe we can encapsulate that idea here.
My name is Brian Gaffney. I'm the managing principal of Antunovich Associates here in the Washington, D.C. office. I continually do work on Union Station. I've been working on that project for probably plus or minus 12 years. I've converted a building in Georgetown into a 5-star hotel along the canal.
Imagine a world-class campus like Apple Park or Google, where the next generation of Muslim leaders can train, network, and innovate around issues that face American Muslims and the world. An inspiring facility with open spaces to spawn new ideas, build relationships for the next generation of American leaders and their allies. An environment that includes an internet cafe, an international gourmet market, a fitness and wellness center. A place for prayer and reflection with a theater and presentation space for town hall meetings, the arts, and films in an environment which is welcoming to all. Just minutes from the U.S. Capitol, the White House, embassies of the world, leading universities in the Dulles IT corridor, which is home to the world's major technology corporations. An international training center attracting the best minds to share their expertise in government affairs, media, public relations, and business philanthropy. A campus welcoming leaders and experts from around the country and around the world. An innovation hub of the future, networking with business leaders to establish a solid philanthropic engagement to fuel the next frontier of leaders from America to be a beacon of promise to the world.
My name is Shayan Pahlevani, and I'm a social entrepreneur. I'm the founder of 2 successful DC-based technology companies, LiveSafe and Hungry. Hungry is a food technology marketplace. Its positive mission has attracted over a dozen celebrity investors, including the singer, rapper Jay-Z and the actor-comedian Kevin Hart.
The time to invest is now. The time to invest is when there's potential. The time to invest is when there is a young, talented person who is looking for the folks who are older in the community to say, you know what, yes, the chance is worth it. And we're going to continue to invest because the probability of the win when we invest in no one is 0. We fail to believe in what we can't imagine. And sometimes we are the limit to our own imagination. And I found that to be the case in our own community.
We have to have a space that we tell our youth, claim your space. What matters to me is the result of the work. Because at the end of the day, time passes, people leave, and then we have to meet our maker. That legacy is important. That what did I do for humanity?
I think that the connection to the indoor-outdoor is going to be equally as important as just the space. The excitement of these 10 acres is the second you walk onto the land, you're removed from kind of the busy hustle and bustle of its envelope. You're kind of in this quiet, beautiful canopy of trees with trails and water running through it. So there's a lot of beautiful elements that are there naturally that will only be enhanced by building something that supports, you know, the energy that's already naturally there. It'll be really exciting to kind of see how the pieces and the program evolves. There'll be a lot of activity on the outdoors to support community camping, trails, you know, thinking about how people will come on their bikes, come on foot, come on car, and ultimately have like access to an asset like this. It'll be great to see the design evolve and become an extension of the landscape that's already there.
You can stop. You can stop.
If you would like to join us in this project or need more information, please visit us at www.
Thank you. That's amazing. I can't wait to see that. It's beautiful. We're gonna field. Ali, you got the microphones in the audience for questions. Cool. So we'll take.
Assalamu alaikum. I can't tell you how inspired I am by this panel. I wish I had you guys here like 20 years ago, 30 years ago, you know. I have been teaching art at Al-Fatih Academy, a local school here, for 16 years. And we do a project called the Art Career Project in 8th grade every year. And every year they're like, what is there to choose for art? You know, like they are encouraged to go find a career, look into the details of it, and really understand what there is out there in the art world other than painting, you know. And this is exactly what I want them to see. And I know some of you are in here. I saw some of you. Yeah, I see some 8th graders in here. I want to invite you guys to come to our classroom in Al-Fatih Academy. This is what the youth need. This is what they need to see about art. Like, this is not what I got to see growing up. I just love to do art. That's all it is. I didn't have, you know, the people showing me in the Muslim community that it can go to big places. And I love exposing them to the different careers. And here you are, all in one panel. And I'm like, this is exactly what we want the youth to see. And I'm so grateful for all of you coming here. And my gosh, this video, amazing. Like, my heart is bursting at the idea of something like this in our community. Jazakumullah khair. And one question about perception. How long did it take to do that particular piece?
It took us 1 year to plan and 3 weeks to make it.
Really?
Yeah. But it was perfectly. We traveled 4 or 5 times within 1 year to make sure that everything was. But we were 20 people. I flew with me 10 people. I hired 10 people of the neighborhood, and then it was like non-stop. So it was. But also, you know, like you take the time also to. There's no improvisation, but you take the time to meet the people. You know, so actually we could have done it shortly if we didn't have like all those. I mean, you try to enjoy and make sure that you spend time with the people. But everything was so calculated. So in my head, I thought I would do it in 2 weeks, you know. No. I mean, it was. But what I'm saying is the year of planning allowed us to make it in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
You know, that's, you know, we had like 12 lifts, you know, like those blue lifts. We had, people on the ground who were just connecting, making sure that, you know, because I was tracing the artwork and then my team used to come and color. So we had this whole logistics. It was, honestly, sometimes I'm nostalgic of this project, you know, because it was, I think, something that I never did and I would never do again. So it was. Yeah, I got Wahid who's in the back. He was sending me picture and telling me, oh, you have made a mistake of 5 centimeters. You know? So, yeah.
Amazing. I just want to say thank you, Nadia, for the work that you're doing with the youth.
Yeah, shout out to Nadia Al-Khatib, guys. Shout out to Nadia Al-Khatib.
And for pushing art, and for always pushing art for as long as I've known you.
From day one.
For pushing art, and for encouraging the youth to find themselves in that. So thank you for that.
Assalamu alaikum. As an East-West kid, processing the dichotomy of your two relationships can be really difficult, especially when a colonial mentality comes in when you come from a country and you're living in the West. Beyond the obvious, Elseed, how has your relationship with your art helped you process or deal with that dichotomy?
Everything started from identity crisis. So I was born and raised in France, going to Tunisia every summer. So every summer in Tunisia, we used to have this question of, what do you prefer, France or Tunisia?
Yeah.
And then in France, I never really felt French. So I felt at some point that, everybody was pushing me to choose either being French or Tunisian. And then I decided to be Tunisian. But I was missing something. I didn't know to read and write Arabic, so I used to speak Tunisian dialect at home. And so I started learning how to read and write Arabic, taking class. I was doing graffiti in Paris at this time. There was one of the teachers in the school where I used to do calligraphy. And I asked him, can you teach me? Because I found that's fascinating. And he told me, you're the only guy interested in the school. So I proposed many times, but nobody's interested into calligraphy. And so I just started, reproducing some classical calligraphy, and then later on bringing it into graffiti. And the funny thing is, the more I was digging into affirming, my Arab identity, the more I realized that, and the more I was evolving in my work, the more I realized that I wouldn't be able to do what I do if I was not French as well, And actually, if I was not French, Arabic calligraphy wouldn't have been exotic. If I've seen it every day, it would just be Khat Arabi, so I wouldn't even look at it. So, I think Arabic calligraphy allowed me to reconcile, my two identities, and today I don't even claim it. I'm not, I don't say I'm French Tunisian, I just leave that to, I don't define myself today by my geographical origin. I define them, for me it's more historical origin. I'm born in France because Tunisia was a French protectorate. There was the Second World War, so everything we're the product of history, and that's how I look at it today. My heart, Tunisia is still in my heart, France is in my heart, but I hate to say as a French Tunisian artist, this doesn't define everything. And if any of you have any identity crisis right now, you should read An Identity from Amin Malouf, and then after reading 200 pages, you will have this identity crisis behind you. Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum. First of all, I really appreciate having this and having you all here. I have a lot of respect for content creation in general, artwork, businesses, just the amount of time and effort needed to be put in. I have a great respect for that. And I guess I'm coming in from the lens as me, myself, I make YouTube videos. And I've made it for about 2 years now. I have over 100 uploads. But the thing is, I'm not necessarily seeing the return on my work as I'd like to. Over 100 uploads, I have about 3.5k subscribers, and I feel the content that I'm making, I have, it provides value to people, just not as much as I'd like. I'm not really seeing that growth. I make college and career related content because, alhamdulillah, I've been successful in those two realms in my life up to this point. And so the big question that I have is, how do I know that maybe, the reason that I'm making this content is to help people, but is this necessarily the right niche for me? Because when I started my channel, this kind of what naturally lended to what I could provide value to people for. But is this the right niche for me to make content on? That's kind of my question. And how do I identify that right niche?
Okay, I got something from. You said you have 3,000 subscribers on your YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. That's 3,000 people that are not just by chance seeing your things. That's 3,000 people that actively decided to want to know what more you have to say. That's enough. How many videos did you say you made?
Like over 100.
Make another 100. Make another 100 after that 100. How many pieces have you made in your life? How many sketches have you done in your life? It's like, my biggest artwork only got recognized 10 years after I made it. I was blessed enough to be able to be alive when that happened. Don't worry what the numbers are now, just the intentionality of why you are doing it. You yourself said, I make this because I want to help people. Then continue to make things that help people. And the numbers will come by themselves, and you will gain that support because you're true to it. You're real. The reason his content hits is because he smiles like that when he's cooking up that stuff. And you know he loves that. You know his stuff connects with humans because when you hear him talk here, that's how he talks to people. And you know he connects to it. It's real. Being great at what you do is just repetition. And there's no such thing as an overnight success. It's you put in the hard work over years and years and years. And maybe one day that one video goes viral, and then that 3,000 turns into 6,000, that now we'll go back and watch all 300 of your videos. So don't stop. Go ahead.
So, creating content, it's one of those things that will drive you crazy. But the fact that, so let me back up. There's people that come up to me and say, how can I grow as a content creator? What can I do? And the first thing I tell them is, make 30 videos and then come back to me. You already made 100 videos. So in your case, the biggest advice that I can give you is go back and see which videos did the best and then really analyze why that video is different from your other 99 videos. And then copy that same format that you did for that video for your next video. And obviously you can message me after this and I'll dive in more deeper.
It's my name, Sajad Qadr. It's what? It's my name, Sajad Qadr.
That's a Sajad Qadr, everybody. Let me get.
I'm going to watch your videos after this. I'm going to go see how official you are, and then we can discuss it.
Assalamu alaikum, guys. So thank you so much for coming today, especially El Cid. I actually know about you because you did a mural for my campus in Texas. So I'm so glad to actually see you because I would walk by that mural every single day and be like, that's beautiful to see a Muslim artist actually do that. So to see you in person is it's pretty inspiring. So the question that I have for you guys is that, Shihan, you talked about this idea of this disease that creatives and artists have of never being satisfied. Obviously you guys have had pretty prosperous careers, but for someone who's young and hungry, there's almost a disconnect of what is step 2, what is step 3, right? You could have this quote unquote disease, but there's almost no structure to it. So if you guys had to give an answer, what would that be to somebody who wants to do change, who, let's say, wants to be involved in, create a social startup? What is step 2?
I mean, I'll start with me. With me and from the successful businesses that I've had before content creation and from being successful at content creation, there is no such thing as a roadmap. Just like in life, there is no actual real roadmap. The key here is to start, right? So you start with something. Once you start, hopefully you fail. And I'm being dead serious. I'm not saying the first thing you try should be successful. Hopefully you actually fail. And hopefully you fail 10, 20 times. Because that's the only way you'll know how that roadmap gets created. So step 2 is literally analyzing step 1 and see what you did there and see what you can do better. And it's really just going from there.
I love that.
I'll give you a few quick steps. First you need to identify the problem, right? You're trying to do a social entrepreneurship. You want to do some good. How do I bring peace? How do I feed the poor? How do I help with mental health? How do I reduce mass shootings? You got to make a list of those problems, and then you try to come up with a solution that you can help with. And you have to get really, really passionate about that. Become an expert and become really passionate about it. Then you want to share your idea with as many people as possible. You don't want to hide your idea. You want to practice pitching your idea and sharing it with others. And as you see people get excited, you ask them to become a co-founder, become a team member. And now your sales skills are getting good. You're pitching people on your idea. You're getting good at recruiting. And then the next important step is to build the product. You got to create that prototype. It can't be all talk. You got to go find a coder. Got to go find a designer. Got to go get the materials. You got to create that prototype. In entrepreneurship, we say adjust in flight. You just got to build it and get it out there, and then you'll learn. You'll make the mistake, as you said. You'll fail. You'll make it better. You'll iterate. But the steps are easy. And the mental health issue, you said, we all have a little bit of anxiety. And that anxiety, if you can control it, is what moves you to the next thing. Right? You had that idea. If you didn't have any anxiety, you'd kind of let it sit there and die. But if you can control it and you're hustling, you're working to the next step, then you're staying up late all night, you're working on it, you're becoming contagious and other people are wanting to work with you. That's how it works. You just have to get passionate about it and get started.
Yeah.
I also think that fear sometimes masks as excitement, and excitement masks as fear. And if you remember that, so go for it, and don't be scared. And sometimes you think, because I'm still excited that I threw my first show, but man, was I scared, and that's a normal feeling. And I think we normalize those feelings like anxiety, fear, excitement, all of those things. Just know that everyone goes through those.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you all for being here. Alcide, you mentioned earlier a social responsibility to speak up on different issues and the necessity to be sharp as you speak about different issues. And I was wondering, do you feel pressure to comment on, there's so much happening to humanity and so much suffering and pain. So do you feel a pressure to comment on everything that's going on in the world? I know people with public platforms often, an earthquake happens here, 2 days later a tsunami happens here, and you're scolded online or in the media for not commenting on everything, but it's impossible to do so, right? So I was curious as to your approach about what you speak on.
Look, I'm not a journalist. I'm not, I'm not here to bring solution or to comment on everything. And I think today, when you have a certain audience online, everybody's expecting you to comment on every single thing. You know what I mean? And for me, I can't. You know what I mean? I can't. I don't have the position to speak about everything. Of course, I'm gonna feel sorry when I see what's happening in Turkey and Syria. Of course, I was following, the Black Lives Matters movement. Of course, there's so many stuff. Like there was this fire in Australia, but then I would be doing this only for the people, and I don't think this is my position, So I'm here to speak about subjects that I think are important, you know what I mean? But I cannot comment on everything. And I think I don't feel the pressure. People pressure me, but I de-pressure, I would say. Where people, they text me, they say, "Oh, you didn't mention anything. Or you didn't put a black screen on your feed. Oh, you didn't do anything for Syria or Turkey." And I'm like, what do you know? Do you have, people believe on social media that everything you do, because maybe you're a public person, everything you do has to be public. You know what I mean? And so honestly, I don't care. I don't even, like I said, I don't feel the pressure. At some point, you see messages, and you just look at them and you laugh, and I clashed somebody recently who messaged me. He's like, "No shame, I'm gonna unfollow you because you didn't say anything." I'm like, "Good for you, unfollow me." But I'm like, stop assuming the fact that, everything that I do has to be public. You know what I mean? And thank God everything I do is not public. Imagine you'll be so bored. Seriously, come on. I don't think anybody care about everything that I do. And there's also some stuff that you want to keep for yourself. That's it. So I care about a lot of stuff, but I don't think I should comment on everything. That's it.
Just to piggyback a little bit on that, being being in humanitarian work still, you can easily get exhausted trying to be the world's advocate for every situation that pops up. You have to almost not guard yourself so much, but be selective to where you can be effective. Me posting about something or LC posting about something, how did that move the needle? How did that actually affect? If you're just posting the post so people can see, oh, he cares, she cares, versus, okay, is there a campaign that I can hop on that actually will affect people in a different way? Am I going there to do what like people would go? Like, because I've gone and I've photographed every disaster that's happened. Am I going to photograph so that I can share the photos and people can say, oh, mashallah, he went there and look at all. Or is there something behind that in a vehicle to actually affect change and actually do things? So it always goes back to why. Why are you doing these things? So that other people can see or so that you can actually do something? And just always ask yourself that intention, and then you'll be like, he's fine with it because he knows his intention.
A very smart person named Hossein Gol told me once, he's right here, if you post on social media, you're posting for other people, right? So you're putting your trust in other people. Instead of trusting in God. What does the dollar bill say? What are all the coins in the USA? In God we trust, right? If I don't post that, I'm doing it for God, right? I did it for myself and God. Sometimes, obviously, you need to post things, especially in the business world, and especially someone like LC needs to, be active. But always think about that before you post something or do something. Am I trusting in God right now, or am I just doing this for myself and my ego?
Hi, I have a question for LC. Do you think your business major helped you path your way as an artist and accomplish what you did today? Meaning, if you did not do business and followed being an artist instead from the beginning, do you think the results would have been the same?
I think it helped me a lot. You know what I mean? I see that I have a master's degree in supply chain management, so I'm like a kind of logistician. So everything that I do, the way I think is kind of production management. So even sometimes like my team gets crazy because I say stuff and I get the background that I get that from the background that I have. But definitely, actually, everything you do in your life at some point, you will use it. Even the Pythagorean theorem. We say that in English. So even the Pythagorean theorem, you learn that in math, and you say, "Well, I'm learning this." And one day, it helped me once. So everything you learn in your life at some point will help you in something. And and also the fact that I went to business school. I spoke about the myth of the artist, for people, an artist should be like somebody who don't make money, you know what I mean? So there's this taboo of money and being an artist. So for me, a lot of people, they say, oh, he's doing it for a cause. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that for a cause. I sell a canvas, I'm using this money. I have two studios, I have a team of almost 10 people, and there is also this entrepreneurial part that people don't see. People, they just see like me painting, like, oh, it's nice, but we have bills, we have like projects to manage, and also the way I do my project. For example, the project you saw, Perception, is a self-funded project. So every project that I do, most of them, I get this fund in my studio, in my company. When I sell an artwork to a collector, the collector he owns the artwork, but he's also a member of the next project. So like there's 10 to 15% of this money that goes into the next project. You know what I mean? So this is stuff, that I implemented with my team in the studio, so I can grow, and I don't have to count on anybody. And there is no shame, today to say yes. As an artist, thank God, alhamdulillah, I make money, but that was not my first intention. I never painted because I wanted to make money. But the problem today, I see artists who just paint if they're paid. You know what I mean? I'm like, why you don't paint in the weekend? Why don't you? It's like, no, but there is no event, there is nothing. So you just need to find your intention at the beginning, why you do what you're doing. If it's for fame, stop now. If it's for money, stop now. But if it's for, if you feel it and you need it, do it.
Just being mindful of time, I know they want us out of here at 10:30, so we have 10 minutes, so maybe one or two more questions, depending on
so
we have one
question. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you all for being here. And I have a question for Al-Seed.
As a huge fan of yours and also an upcoming calligraphy artist, I want to ask you, what one or two advice would you give someone who is still in the beginning stages, and how do you kind of tackle that art block that you got every now and then when you feel kind of disconnected from what you love, but you want to do it? So what advice would you give someone?
Actually, there's an advice that a friend of mine gave me in 2002. He told me, you never have twice the chance to give a first impression, and I think, in the art world, like everybody knows everyone, you know what I mean? And in the community, everybody knows everybody, so which image you will leave, when you speak with people or if you work with somebody. So I think this is super important, the fact that trying to be ethical, we say that?
Yeah,
ethical. Sorry for the English. So having some ethics in what you do, you know what I mean? Not trying to screw people and always go straight, so people, they remember you as that, and then as an artist, always finding, reviving the flame, because at some point you're gonna do something, you like it, and then this flame will just start shutting down slowly, and you need to find a way, a medium, I don't know what is it, for me I think I need to go on project. If I just spend time in my studio, sometimes I feel I'm dying inside. So it's important for me to go outside, to go to places that I don't know, meeting people that I don't know, and find the next crazy idea, And when I say crazy ideas, giving yourself a challenge, and even if you think when you say yourself it's impossible, you should definitely go toward it. And I remember when we did Perception, we were on the rooftop with Wahid, and I told him I need to do this project so we can allow people to dream, and that was for me. Actually, I was trying to convince myself, because it was a dream and I knew it was not possible, and alhamdulillah we did it, so put the bar high.
I just want to give some credit to LC giving back, selling his artwork and giving back. That's a big deal, right? That project that he funded himself. I bet most people didn't think that or know that, and that's very, very impressive. So, and there's another powerful message there. It's good to make money. It's okay to make money. We want to become financially free so we can do good things, be generous and be charitable. But it goes back to ethics, right? There's a lot of ethics being missed in our politics today, ethics in the workplace being missing. But with Live Safe and Hungry, we try to do really good stuff. And that's why we had success. Once you start doing bad stuff, your intention is bad, things start falling apart really, really quick. So another round of applause for LC in donating a lot of his time and work to bring light to people and change their perception. It's pretty impressive.
I know there's a question back there.
Assalamu alaikum. I had a question about fame and notoriety, and when you gain an audience in social media, is it okay to start posting in order to gain that fame? And how do you deal with the fame that you gain in an Islamic sense? Because sometimes it feels like these two things are opposed to each other.
Our biggest flaw as human beings is our ego, right? We all know that. Our ego holds us back from calling our mom, doing something for someone else. We're self-centered. But the social media has become a great medium for communication. So it's okay if that's part of your business. You're trying to grow followers. All that's okay. It doesn't have to mean famous. It could mean, popular. It could mean people are engaged with you. You have high engagement. That's what everyone wants with technology. So all that's okay. But just remember the ego. It can be dangerous. LC's been in the press and news and awards all the time, but he's still a humble guy. He didn't let it affect him. But there's a lot of people where that press and PR affects them really quickly and easily. It's a big thing you just have to be aware of, where you don't want to cross that line and just think you're the greatest person in the world, because you're not. You're just another human being. So always be able to check your ego.
I just want to clarify, did you first ask, how do you get famous? And then how do you balance it with your Islam? I just want to clarify, because it's not necessarily diametrically opposed where what is either one or the other. I think that it's all about intention. Why? Why do you want to be famous? Why do you want to be big? Why do you want to be known? Is it to make impact? You can have greater impact and nobody knows your name, or do you want everybody to know your name and it affects people nothing. They all know who you are, but no one cares, and you actually haven't done anything to help people or to move whatever you're trying to do, to sell product or whatever it is. Or do you want that to do impact? Ask yourself why. That's your question. Ask yourself why and what my intention is. That'll clear a lot of the times I feel Allah has not given me fame, even though I'm on the cusp, or the project I did is famous, but my name isn't even mentioned in it. Because that's not what Allah wants from me. And it took a long time to just eat that and know that that's better for me. You know what? I'm making impact in people's lives. I'm affecting people in a positive way. Nobody needs to know my name. It's hard. It's not easy. But just know why. Just ask yourself why.
Raise your hand if you know the artist Shepard Fairey from Obey. Everybody, do you guys know who's Obey? Okay. Do you guys know Shepard Fairey used Ridwan's photo for the Obama campaign of the Bangladeshi Muslim girl in hijab? Shepard Fairey used Ridwan's photo. He's a part of our community, y'all. This is huge. So I just want, and Ridwan didn't get his flowers today, so I gotta.
Shihan said I was his inspiration. I'm good.
Oh, okay.
I'm good.
All right. Well, I'll throw you a couple carnations. But no.
I appreciate you, though.
Yeah.
It is 10:27. They told me I need to get out of here by 10:30.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Aatif. Thank you, Shihan, Bayan, Shayan, and El Cid. Thank you, everybody that came, and thank you, Qahwa, for hosting us, and Adam Center for hosting us. Thank you, everybody that came out, and hopefully, if anything you heard was good, it is from Allah, and anything that you heard that you disagree with or is bad, that's on us, and we ask for your forgiveness. Jazakallah khair, and thank you very much.
Sorry, Ridwan. One last thing. Thank you. Qahwa was founded with the foundation of art being like part of our foundation. And so, as you all may know, as you've walked in, there's a big wall of art, our art exhibit, and we try to make sure that we cycle through local artists, and we have so much amazing talent. So every time you go in there, support the artists that are there. Every piece that you see on the wall is for sale. And we try to make the art accessible by doing prints of artists, and also that we build the value of art in our community. So when art costs money, there's a reason why it costs money. So please support that project. And if you know any artists that are up and coming or artists that are well established that would like to exhibit at Qahwa, please message us. You can find us on Instagram, on our website, or you may email us at qahwacafe@adamcenter.org. So thank you all for coming. Jazakallah khair.
Assalamu alaikum. As a final note, it would be wonderful if you all can help us clean. It's already 11. I'm going to be here for another 3 more hours. So if you can help us clean, what you can do is if you have a folding chair, if you can collapse your folding chair, and there's going to be carts right outside. The red chairs stay here. And if we can have maybe 5 or so volunteers to help us break down, that'll be very helpful. Jazakallah khair. Look forward to seeing you all at future Qahwa events. Assalamu alaikum.